We all know that the California housing market is slowed down. Right now, demand is not where it should be for spring and summer. Whether it's the tariffs, economic sentiment, or whatnot, guys, it is slowing down. So, how does that affect you if you're thinking about moving to the Sacramento area? How is Sacramento looking? We're going to cover new homes, buyers, sellers, and all that kind of fun stuff. So if that's you and you're thinking about making the move to the Sacramento area, or you're looking to sell your house in the Sacramento area, this is the video for you. We're going to dive into it and we're going to talk about it all, as well as answer all your questions that you might have. Let's get into the video. All right, guys, hopefully you guys are having an enjoyable evening. It is getting warm here in Sacramento. Okay, so the $1,000,000 question for everybody that we talk to on the phone, everyone asking about Sacramento for the most part is, should we buy right now or should we wait? Now, first and foremost, I'm not a big believer in timing the market, right? I mean, I've seen a lot more people lose and win as far as timing the market. I'm a big believer in timing your life. If it's, your time to buy, if you're moving into the area, if you need another bedroom, if that's the type of person I am. I'm a believer in timing your life. I'd say right now, one of the biggest things about Sacramento and California is we are seeing, and I'll show you some stats in a second or some articles, like California is getting a surge of listings. And in Sacramento, along with new listings hitting the market, and maybe retreads from last year, just an abundance of new listings, we're also getting a little bit of a surplus in new homes as well too, which for buyers, yeah, that's actually not bad. I mean, you're getting inventory that you might want to see, might want to buy, stuff that you weren't seeing like maybe January and February. So it's a good thing right now for buyers. Could this all change in the future? Look, here's the thing. Majority of lenders I run into are always saying this year it's going to be hovering around 7%. There's not going to be a huge change. Okay, I get it. If there isn't a huge change, we're going to see new listings keep hitting the market, new homes surplus hitting the market. Something's got to give, right? And a lot of people think that, that got to give piece is going to be that we're going to see this huge entire housing market crash, right? People are freaked out and they're saying, it's going to be a crash, man. Things are going to go for dirt cheap. Now, as someone who's locked in a low interest rate and who loves their house, maybe even looking to upgrade in the near future or far future, I like the idea of staying put, low interest rate, house. And I know a whole lot of people aren't feeling that push, right? I know there's a whole thing of loans going into default and all this stuff too. But here's the thing, in Sacramento, for the most part, a lot of people locked into 2.75s. You can't even rent for that low of a mortgage in Sacramento anymore. So you're seeing a lot of people who, maybe want that extra bedroom, maybe want the pool, maybe want to switch to a school district, but they're feeling so kind of disenchanted, I guess you can say, with the economy right now. They're just not feeling it easy. They're all feeling kind of nervous about the economy. So they're staying put. And that's kind of what we're running into right now. It's not a market where a person's saying, you know what, I got to sell. I mean, yes, of course, there's always going to be sellers like this, but for the most part, what you're going to run into is a lot of people who made their forever move, back when rates were really, really low, and they're good staying put. Would they want to maybe bump it up somewhere else? Yeah, they're okay with it. But at the same time, they're in a situation that is economically pretty good for them. And so that's kind of what we're seeing in the market. Now, Vicky hits us off with the wait. Vicky, you could be right. Honestly, it could be one of those things where waiting might work. It could be one of those things where if you wait a little bit, all of a sudden we could see some price corrections start to happen and you might get that deal, right? Like I said, though, one of the things I will stress to anyone watching this channel or looking to move into Sacramento, one of the things that you have to understand is this market isn't one of those, I'm going to Disneyland, I'm not paying attention to the market. It's going to be like the ocean. You can't really turn your back on the ocean for a second at this point, because you could sporadically for 1 week or two see rate drops, or you could see that one house you've been waiting for a long, long time either hit the market or get a huge price reduction. So it's not one of those things where you can just kind of say, hey, you know what? I'm going to check back in 3 or 4 months. My biggest advice that I could say for people looking to move into Sacramento or California or whatever is do not take your eye off the market if this is going to be your time to buy. If this is that time where you say, look, I got to buy a house, I'm moving into Sacramento, whether I like it or not, maybe towards the end of the year, that's when it's going to happen. But for the most part, I need to do it. I would say right now is that moment where you keep an eye on the market for the specific community, for the specific price point, all that kind of stuff. This is not the time to take your eye off the prize at all. This is a market that, as we've seen in the last, like, what, 6 months, 2 years, it's a market that switches week by week. And now we're in an economic situation where a tweet means a whole lot of crazy things. A tweet could basically mean, I think they're called tweets now, whatever. A tweet could basically mean that a bunch of people are moving from Sacramento back to the Bay Area, and all of a sudden a lot of houses need to be sold like right away, and the price is pretty good on them. So you guys got to understand right now too that on this channel we don't stress about like you need to buy, you need to buy, you need to buy. But I would say that this is definitely a market that while you're waiting, you get yourself educated. You figure out who your realtor is, your mortgage professional. You kind of get them out here and do your research. I talked to a very nice lady this afternoon, and she was like, well, you know what? I'm renting all the way till the end of December. And my thought to her is, well, look, you have this time, come out to Sacramento a few visits. Let's see the area, see the location. So by the time December rolls around, you know the areas, you know the communities, you feel comfortable about your decision. The decision should never be prodded by a realtor. It should never be like, buy this house, buy this house. It shouldn't be like that. As realtors, our main job should be to educate people, to basically say, hey, look, you don't know Sacramento? Come on out to Sacramento. Let's take you to Roseville. Let's take you to Folsom, Rockland. Let's show you different home styles, new versus old. That's our job, to educate a person, because in my belief, and my own thing is, I believe that for the most part, people are going to have that feeling of, this is my house, this is my community, this is my area, I've seen everything else, this is what I want. And so that's kind of what we try to focus on. It's not really about saying buy a house now or buy a house tomorrow or in a year from now. It's mainly about like, we want to educate you enough where when you make that decision, like you feel comfortable, as in like, that's the right decision for me. And so that's one of the things that I think that this market should be a little bit more about. Now, because it is a slower market, and 100%, we're seeing listings, a lot more listings pile up on the market, a lot more days on the market. We're just seeing that happen currently. And that's crazy, because last spring we got a rate hike and it kind of killed our spring and summer as well too. This year we're seeing another spring where the demand isn't there, but now we're seeing a lot more listings hit the market, and it potentially, if it keeps going in this direction, you could flip it into a buyer's market relatively like sooner than we expected, which can be crazy. Now, I will tell you one thing though, as much as people might be going, yeah, buyer's market, that's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna get the house I want at the price I want. This is fantastic. Guys, I'm gonna tell you this straight up. There are so many people waiting on the fence and they're waiting for prices to get down a little bit, interest rates to drop a little bit, that if you wait too long, you could see such a surge of demand that all of a sudden we get into a situation where prices are starting to go back up. You're waiving the appraisal contingencies. So honestly, like, I would just really kind of like feel out the situation, work with a realtor that you kind of like trust, that has your back on it, see how fast things are moving in the communities and the neighborhoods that you like. It's really an important time for you, if you really are looking to make that move, to analyze the market and see how fast things are moving, how things are sitting, price per square footage, days on the market, you know what I mean? Like houses that are being relisted and everything too. We notice, for the listings that we list, if we list aggressively in prices in areas that are still in like high demand, like your like Will Hagen's or like your Folsoms, things will still go. But an aggressive price needs to be attached to that. Before, in Folsom, you literally could list anything at any price and it would probably go. Now, even Folsom, it's still one of those spots where people are looking for a right price. People don't feel comfortable with the interest rates being still around 7. That payment is brutal. People are looking towards new homes as well too, but the incentives are coming back too. New homes are a whole nother thing that we'll jump into a little bit later as well too. But for you guys, if you're a buyer, stay in tune with the market, figure out who you're working with as a realtor, as a mortgage professional, and come out and do your education piece of it. Figure out communities, areas, West Roseville versus Rancho, PG&E versus SMUD, areas as far as you might be in trouble with home insurance. Figure out all that kind of stuff ahead of time. So that way, when the situation is right, you see the house you really, really like, you're going to know that it's the right decision to make. Now, like I said, it's an interesting market. I can't guarantee you rates are going to be at 7s, 5s, 8s. I don't know where rates are going to go, honestly. Last year, we had a few lenders talking to us about where rates are going to. Everyone was wrong. So for me, I'll tell you this. I would say keep in tune with the market, time your life, do not time the market, And as far as everything goes, and there's a big difference between timing the market and being educated about the market. For example, like the education piece, you're going to find the right house, find the right community. It doesn't mean that once you find that you should buy. No, I would hang back a little bit and wait for the right house. The right house is going to make a mortgage payment seem a lot better than it is. I mean, no one likes paying a mortgage, but I think if you find the right house, the juice is definitely going to be worth the squeeze. Now, one of the things I also want to talk about on this channel is new homes. New homes are big business in Sacramento. I personally believe that there are going to be some builders and some communities that are in trouble. I've been getting more calls than usual from builders and sales reps giving me inventory. I've also seen a lot of people who've been falling out of contract at some of these communities as well too, like the Taylors even. So I would say right now, if you're someone who likes new homes, I would just say understand that new home market is really slow unless you're in that one crazy community that's just blowing up. But like Bickford Ranch, Toll Brothers, slow. The Woodside community that I'm going to drop a video for on Friday, it's like on one side facing the 50, they haven't sold anything yet, but at the same time, I think that they need to increase their incentives and whatnot. Now, one thing I will mention to you guys too, if you are working with a realtor and you are going into the new home area, make sure the realtor on paper puts the fact that if you work with them, that the builder is going to cover their fee and you are not. What I'm hearing is a lot of realtors right now are signing people to this buyer broker, 2.5, 3%. I've even heard as high as 4.5%. And so when you go into a new home, let's say, for example, you go to TriPoint and they pay the realtor $10,000, right? Which is, a lot of money. So they pay him $10,000. And all of a sudden, like, let's say that on your buyer broker, the 10,000 doesn't cover their entire percent. You out of pocket are going to have to pay that to close the deal. So just understand that our team, for example, like I think we're one of the only new home teams that do this. Like the builder will always pay our fee. If they pay us $1, that's what we charge. Like the builder will 100%, you will never have any money taken out of your pocket. Because honestly, what we've been noticing more than anything is that people who are looking for new homes are, it's not a great market. And so new homes with the incentives, a lot of people are squeezing into these new homes and barely getting the new home. And so for us and my team specifically, like you will never pay a dime out of your pocket, guys. It will always be coming out of the builder, from the builder 100%. And in fact, the buyer broker that normally we have people sign when they're working with us, especially in the new home realm, it basically states the builder will pay our fee and that's it. So if you are working with a realtor, honestly, just be careful because if you sign a buyer broker that's like 2.5, 3.5, and the builder's fee doesn't cover that entire piece, you're going to have to come out of pocket to pay that to your realtor to close a deal. And that's not going to be fun for you at all too, especially if you're squeaking into that new home and all of a sudden you got to pay an additional $5, $10, $15,000. Not fun. So just be aware of that. All right. I've seen a lot of price cuts in Orangeville and Fair Oaks area lately. I've seen Orangeville, Fair Oaks, Citrus, and Carmichael. I call them the stepchildren, right? A lot of people heard of Folsom, you heard of Roseville, you heard of Rockland. These areas like the Orangevales, the Fair Oaks, Citrus, Carmichael, I love those areas. If you guys are someone who like walking trees, really kind of cute, kind of older, more established kind of areas, I would look in those areas. I think Orangeville, I think there's some soft markets right now in Sacramento. I think some of these are even going to be softer. I think Orangeville is probably going to be a little softer. Fair Oaks, Citrus, and Carmichael. Fair Oaks, possibly. I mean, I think people are starting to discover Fair Oaks and see what an amazing spot Fair Oaks is as well too. But I do think that right now, the markets that I'm seeing being soft a little bit are kind of maybe like, I don't know, maybe a little bit towards Sacramento proper. I would say markets like, that people from the Bay Area haven't really latched onto, like Fair Oaks, Orangevale, Citrus, Carmichael. I'd also say that a lot of people are kind of pulling away from like Sacramento proper, like the East Sacs, the Land Park and everything too. And I think people are moving into more along the lines of like the Folsoms, I think, Rocklands and the Rosevilles and everything too. A lot of those areas have the newer schools, and I think a lot of people are drawn to that. So that's kind of what I'm seeing right now in the Sacramento area. Now, like I said, we'll jump into this in a second. Like California is just nuts as far as how many listings are being thrown on the market. And like I said, because Sacramento has so many new homes as well too, buyers could really, really score on some deals. So keep your eyes posted, peeled. It could be fun for you guys, honestly, as long as interest rates don't drop, because I guarantee you there is going to be a number. And I don't know what that number looks like. It's 6.5, 6.2, 5.9. I don't know. But if a number, there's going to be a certain number where all of a sudden everyone's going to jump off the fence and jump back into the market, as we've seen happen over the last couple of years. So just be aware that waiting too long might cost you. Just kind of like, like I said, and that's kind of why I always tell people, like, time in the market isn't just fun. For me, I'm a big believer in, like, if I find the house, the community, the timing of my life is great, I'm going to pick up the house and then I'll wait a little while, refinance, avoid the craziness, and I'm good to go. But like I said, that's a personal, individual choice that you guys should be making. You know your finances, and, just use a realtor for the education piece and also to field questions that you might have about areas. All right. Yeah, I'm planning on holding out until fall to start seriously making offers. Seem like homes are sitting on home longer, sitting on the market longer if they are obviously overpriced. And that's one of the things too. I would say this: if you're someone coming in from the Bay, if you're someone coming in from Los Angeles, like, you really need to work with someone who kind of like knows the Sacramento market. Because a lot of times, you'll see a house and it's priced at $1 million. It's been sitting there for 3 weeks, and then it's dropped to like $900,000. And you're like, yes, it's a score. But it's really something that really price per square foot in that area should be priced somewhere around $820. And then you scored on a $900,000 house that was really valued at $820. So just be really, really careful about how to price properties and see if it makes sense. And like I said, I say work with a realtor, of course, because we know the area, especially if you're moving in. But if you're someone who's basically saying, hey, I'm going to do it yourself, that's fine. Everyone's got the right to do that. I would say also just look at how fast things are moving, price per square foot, how like packed an open house is, and just, figure that out. I mean, it's not really rocket science, to be honest, to see the price per square foot. If a house pops out on the market, it's a 3 and 2, it's dialed in, nice backyard and a pool, and it was listed at 620, and it lasts for a weekend and it's gone. And then all of a sudden you see it, that it's sold for 650. You kind of got a good comp in the area for what you're looking for. So, history is the greatest teacher in real estate. Now for us, I would say keep that envelope, maybe about a 3-month envelope at max, because it can get a little confusing because the market dips and goes, interest rates and all that stuff too. But I'd say for the most part, you can guys can kind of figure it out. We do that for our clients as well too. But I do realize that for me, if it was someone like, moving into the area and they weren't ready to start looking, reaching out to a realtor can be a little daunting, or a mortgage professional. So I would say, figure it out. I mean, look at the areas, communities, and say, hey, I've always wanted to live in Wilhagen. Let me see. Oh, okay, this thing went into contract 4 days later. And then once the price is revealed, you're going to know exactly what it sold for. There are some things that have been happening in this market where, I mean, I've saw one house that was sold for like 3.5 million in a community where the highest comp in that community sold for maybe like 2.1. And I'm not saying it was an amazing house, but I'm saying, like, when you go to sell it, oof, you're going to be reducing that price dramatically. So just know your comps. All right. Have investors backed off Sacramento this spring? Investors are still buying whatever they can get down San Joaquin Valley. Not everywhere has been affected by the tariff mess. Okay, so one of the things here about Sacramento is I think investors are hitting the market more. Corey, I talk to him almost on a daily basis, and he has a lot of investors. Now, the investors are really, really picky right now about where they're buying. Now, one of the things also to kind of keep a little bit of a heads up to, if you're an investor and you're coming into Sacramento and you're seeing this like, oh my God, KB, Elk Grove, you can get something for $500,000. They're offering 4.99 interest rates. Those are not investor interest rates. Those are first time home buyer, or those are primary home buyer interest rates. So understand, I think the most you can get is like 2% back. So just kind of keep that in mind. So for me, because of that, I do like the new home concept of energy efficiency, not a lot of stuff wrong. But I think what I'm seeing more than not is that the investors are moving into more like quads, duplexes, and just kind of like older communities that still have nice houses, but you don't have to deal with Mellore's or HOAs. I see a lot of house hacking as well too. Is it as crazy as it was maybe like 3 years ago in Sacramento? Not as much. I think one of the things is, like, when we had this big jump of price and like, like COVID times, everything shot up like $200,000 almost overnight. I think all of a sudden, Sacramento, penciling the numbers just didn't work as much. People had to actually work for it and realize that, like, it wasn't going to be like, hey, appreciation's amazing. And also the rent is going to cover the mortgage and then some. I think it became more of the market where you need to really kind of look and find the specific rental to have it make sense. And then realize also that if you buy an investment property, the appreciation is what you should be gunning for, and the rent on the property should be the cherry on top of the sundae. So I think that that's kind of what you're seeing more than not in Sacramento. It has cooled down for investors, but it's still relatively a hot market, but not as hot as it was before. Hopefully that answered that question. All right. I'm also planning to buy, but I have a feeling that homes are still overpriced, especially Folsom area. And I see desperation in sellers, which is a good thing for buyers. Yeah. And I'm seeing it too. I think you're going to see two types of sellers in this market. One is the sellers that are 2.75ers, and you can tell, you know what I mean? The ones who that's their primary home, they're living there. They're not really like dying. They want to move, but they're like, you know what? We're on a 2.75. If we can sell our house for this, great. But like, if not, we're going to stay put. Because remember, here's the thing too, for a lot of people who are sitting on a 2.75 and it's their primary home, they still have to make enough money from selling their home to move into another home and actually have a 7% interest rate. So the appeal of moving to another home, it's there. And of course, people want a bigger home, pool and everything too. But at the same time, it's not really like so overwhelming. People love their rates. A lot of people love those low 2.75 interest rates. And a lot of people are like, look, and also they're getting those 5 o'clock calls from realtors saying, hey, you want $2 million for your home? I can make it happen. And so I think a lot of 2.75ers are the sellers are out there. Now, on the reverse side of it, like you mentioned, I do think you see a lot of desperate sellers as well too. And like I said, for all our clients, it's usually like the houses that, don't have furniture or have staging. Staging is one of those things. If you see a house that's staged for about 3 weeks is like $3,000 for stagers. So that they're like, the carrying cost of a property is really, really high. So at the same time, like with sellers that, are staging their house or it's vacant, especially in areas like Serrano and areas like Los Lagos, I mean, the carrying costs on those things are probably brutal. Even if the house is completely paid off, you still got landscaping, electricity. There's little tells, but yeah, I'd say like right now you're seeing sellers that are overpricing their homes. The best way though is just to identify the desperate sellers for the sellers who are like, if I sell it, great. If not, I'm okay. I'm good. Those are the two types of sellers you really need to identify really, really fast. Like we have an amazing client that for the most part is like looking at this one house and it's still overpriced and the sellers are gradually bringing it down. And I think they're the sellers who are basically saying to themselves, we want to sell it, but at the same time, like the carrying costs aren't much. It's like a house in Antelope. So I think like, for me, I always look at it this way. If you're really someone who's looking to sell your house, like go for it. Like try to sell your house. The longer you kind of play these games with pricing, the more you're actually going to be in the hole. Like, for example, I was talking to Michelle on my team too. And I was like, here's the thing that's crazy is that you'll have a person that's selling, let's say like a $2 million house. Let's say in Los Lagos, and they're getting like no bites at all. I mean, the landscaping for that, what is like $700 a month. Then you got electricity and those Los Lagos houses. I mean, what, $1,000 a month. Then you got the California Fair Plan. That's pricey as well too. So it's like you end up, if you don't price reasonably, if you really, really want to sell your house, you're going to have all these months of carrying that property. And eventually you'll come back to the point A where you'll be like, well, we should just reduce it in the first place because now we're kind of at that spot, but we're at a higher price point. So if you're looking to sell your home and you're really, really serious about selling your home, add up those carrying costs as well too. And they'll kind of tell the tale of the tape. If you're serious at selling it, price aggressively, throw it on the market, get it done as opposed to carrying that property. Eventually it's just going to get you. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right. In Carmichael, I'm still seeing quite a few flips. Yep. Carmichael, you're going to, it's still a nice area as far as for flips. I mean, you're seeing those like, 3 and 2s or 4 and 2.5s, like houses in Carmichael, a lot of the ranch style homes. The thing I like about Carmichael, Citrus, Fair Oaks, and Orangeville is what you're noticing about those houses is that they're set back a little bit more than the newer homes, and they have a little bit more of a backyard in established neighborhoods. So I like those areas. But yeah, flips are happening in Carmichael, North Highlands. I'd say I'm seeing some flips in, where's it? In Sacramento proper. I'm seeing some happen like in what's it called? Like the cottage over there. In like Arden, there's some flips happening too. I think flips you can make a good amount of money on, but I think that with flips right now, a lot of people who are in flips are going for the more high-end flips, like the East Sacramentos, the land parks, and everything too. I think flips for me though, in this market where we're seeing like the economy kind of just go this, you got to be really careful about the property that you put a lot of money into, especially if you're going to go for high end. But I have seen some friends of mine who are actually in flips. They're very smart about picking out the right ones, and they're making still a good amount of money with flips, especially in areas that historically have shown good appreciation. All right. Those homes, which of right prices in Willow Creek Folsom, are they where they're sold very soon? But some people are just wanting to get rich ASAP. Yeah, and here's the thing. I do think so. I think one of the things is that you're going to notice like so many people right now are thinking that we're in a market of low inventory when all of a sudden listings are coming back. A lot of people don't realize the buyer mindset right now is not really a completely comfortable and confident buyer's mindset. A lot of people saw their stock portfolio drop. A lot of people also are not feeling as secure in their jobs as they were before. So I think right now with the sellers, they're assuming that whatever they throw on the market, a buyer is going to jump at, and it's just not that market. A lot of buyers right now are just nervous. They're saying to themselves, if I'm going to buy something, it has to be amazing. The price has to work. The numbers have got to work as well too. And I think for a lot of sellers who are serious about selling their homes, you got to price aggressively, and you have to trust your listing agent to basically say like, this is where we are. This is what we do. And for all the listing agents out there too, I think there's a partial blame on the listing agents where you list a property and it's not going to go. Like you're doing your client a complete disservice by putting something on the market that you don't think is going to sell, especially if they're in a situation where they have to sell their home. So I would say that that's kind of like what I'd be looking at. Like, price, you got to know your pricing. You got to know the market at this point. You can't just like slack on the market or go to Disneyland for a couple of weeks and come back. For me, if I'm really serious about making a move, but right now the time I'm feeling a little uncertain, I'm feeling like there could be a shift in the market, pay attention to the market and don't, disappear for 2 weeks. If this is something where your timing is, this is the moment for you to buy a house, I would say stay tuned to the market, and the market is going to do some funky things probably by the end of this year. And like I said, if this is something that seriously you want to do, you kind of got to watch it and see what's going on. Okay, let's jump into some fun things. All right, so we got this is a funny one. Okay, so as far as like why everyone's saying that like there's gonna be a market crash, like I said, our Sacramento market, I don't think we really play into it that much. Unaffordable homes. I will say one thing though too. I don't think people should be throwing affordability at Sacramento anymore too. I think we've long bypassed that moniker of being an affordable spot. Yes, compared to the Bay Area, we're affordable. Compared to Los Angeles, we're affordable. But like 5 years ago, I think Sacramento could have squeaked out affordability. But I think now we're like in a situation right now where a lot of people are looking at other spots to move into. Central Valley, Linda, Plymouth Lake, and everything too. Underwater mortgages, again, I think that that's a lot of hype. I think there's a lot of people in 2.75 land who are like happy and sitting on a great payment, and it probably would be more expensive for them to rent. Foreclosures on the rise. I don't see a lot of that happening in the Sacramento area. Now, unemployment's an interesting one. Like I always talk about Sacramento, and I like our chances. Like every city, every metro area is kind of their own mini economy. And the thing that I love about the Sacramento area is that, as you guys have seen, we got Shriners, UC Davis, we got Kaiser, we got Dignity, we got Sutter. We got so much medical happening here, which you know how it is. I mean, medical jobs tend to be some of the more secure jobs. And then we got the state, and we got state jobs as well too. Now, I'm not saying we're completely bulletproof, but I love the diversification of jobs in our Sacramento market. For a lot of people who move into Sacramento too, we have a nice market that can support tech, education job. Also, like we don't talk about it enough, but we also have a lot of construction happening in the area. We have people that, are general contractors who are doing fantastic. Like my buddy Dan Loesch, landscape designers, stagers, interior designers. We have a lot of different type of jobs a lot of people can jump into. So for me, yes, do I think it's kind of getting a little nervous as far as like the job market goes, as far as like one tweet changes our economy. But if I'm going to be somewhere where I feel the most secure, especially in California, it's definitely the state capital. State jobs just bring it all home for a lot of people who actually work here. So, all right. New report highlights mounting, sorry about that. Again, I gotta get glasses. Mounting economic anxiety that could impact home buyers and sellers in 2025. Okay, so here's one thing that I want to tell you guys. Everyone's going to find random things as far as like why the housing market is stalled, because it definitely is slow right now. California too, it's just a slow market. Nationwide, it's slow. People do not feel comfortable. A lot of people do not feel comfortable buying a house in this economic climate. It is more the anxiety of what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. No one feels secure. The footing right now is really uneasy, and people feel more comfortable sitting where they are as opposed to jumping out the door and finding a new home. Now, are there people still looking to like sell their homes and, buy homes? Absolutely. There definitely is. Now, the buyers that I'm seeing more than anything are the people who are moving into Sacramento to maybe relocate. And the other type of buyer that I'm seeing is saying to themselves, you know what? Job's good. I don't see the real estate climate changing anytime soon. I want my house. I waited all last year. I didn't get it. Forget it. I'm jumping in and I'm doing it. Let's get going. And you're seeing a lot of people too who just don't have that kind of like faith in the market that the market's going to get any better. And they're like, look, here's the thing. Summer could get crazy. I don't know what everything has to hold for us in the real estate market, but I know that I've been on the sidelines. I've been waiting for a long, long time, and I'm done. I want to buy a house. Let's go. Let's do it. And you know what? I'll deal with the refi later. I want my house. I want to get started. And a lot of those type of buyers as well too. And the crazy part is a lot of the lenders I work with, like the Matt Barbas, Aaron Klaus, like, Noel Brownell, like all these lenders are saying the exact same thing. They're getting a record amount of applications from people getting pre-approved, but they're just not getting a lot of people contracts sent to them. So you're seeing a lot of people that are getting pre-approved, but not a lot of people putting in offers and homes. So like I said, it's going to be a crazy market. And I think right now the fence is where a lot of people are at. Economic situation, climate is not great right now. And I just feel like so many people right now are just nervous. More than half of Americans, 58%, are already cutting non-essential spending, surpassing 32%, stockpiling necessities like canned food, first aid supplies. Report notes suggested a broader pullback that could impact real estate transactions. And like I said, guys, this is kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing people that are nervous, people that are like saying to themselves, like, I would love to move to Sacramento, but I got to stay put. I'm not feeling comfortable in this economy. And I think we just need to get a little bit of stability in the economy, kind of figure where things are at. I mean, it's a scary thing in general to just think of like our economy being the way it is, where tomorrow morning things could change instead of having a little bit of a forecast of like maybe 3 months or 6 months. So I think hopefully we get a little bit of like a footing economically. I think people, if they feel like their jobs are good, they can kind of get on with it. But for right now, I think a lot of people have put a big pause button in the moving. And, do I think that they're waiting for an indicator to maybe, see when it's safe to go outside? Yes, based on like the amount of applications, but I still think people are very, very cautious at this point. And that's been that reflects in how the market is right now, because springtime and summertime, like it shouldn't be this slow. Like it's really, really slow. And so, like I have not seen it this slow in spring and summer. Last year, yes, spring and summer were slow because interest rates went up. There's not a big reason except for this economic uncertainty that is making people jump on the fence. Yes, rates are high, but normally people still have that moment where they say summer's the time we're going to be moving in and spring's going to be the time we're moving in. I'm just feeling a very, very lull. And I know a lot of realtors right now that I work with, that I talk to. A lot of them are like, I have a lot of listings that are sitting on the market. I actually have more listings than I have buyers. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting market. But like I said, for all you guys out there who are watching this, who are thinking about moving to Sacramento, I still love our market. I still love the idea that, I think it's the best bang. I don't think there's any spot in California that gives you what Sacramento does as far as affordability, as far as things to do, as far as growth potential. But I do think right now, like the nation all over, everyone's feeling a little nervous. And I think it's impacting a lot more markets like Phoenix, like Houston, a lot more. But I think our market is actually feeling it as well, too. All right, boom. Here, let's do this. All right, let's talk a little bit about our market right now with some stats. As we see, inventory is coming up. Boom. Inventory is on the rise, and which bode well, like, for Sonny, he was talking about that. You were talking about that earlier. Like, inventory is on the rise. So eventually it's going to be really good for buyers. I think we've been waiting for inventory to come back. And like I said, I mean, we could see a buyer's market happen a lot sooner than we anticipated. A lot of people were thinking that it was going to take like, I don't know, a year, 2 years before we see a buyer's market. If this continues to go the way I think it's going to go, I mean, we could see a buyer's market maybe sometime in like the fall. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be interesting how this goes. But like I said, all bets are off if interest rates start to drop. And then I do think there's going to be a lot of people on the fence who are going to jump in. So stay tuned. Okay, another one, price decreases. We are seeing a lot of price cuts happen as well too. Price cuts, price cuts, price cuts. So I would say expect more. I would say as we go further on into the year, you're going to see the serious buyers reduce prices because they want to get rid of these homes, hopefully. And hopefully buyers get a little bit of a break. Hopefully you guys can jump in. Also, here's the thing, guys, too. A lot of these new homes and new home builders, which are great, Taylors, Meritages, all of them, love them. But at the same time, understand that if you are someone who doesn't like Melrose, you're someone who doesn't like HOAs, there are a lot of cool little niche communities or niche communities in the Sacramento area that don't have Melrose, don't have HOAs. And if you play it right and add in a seller credit to a house that's maybe like, a little overpriced and you go in low and build in a seller credit, you can actually get a rate buy down as well too. And then you don't have to deal with Melrose, which is great. All right. How do you feel about the foreclosure momentum that is supposed to end in September? Foreclosures are one of those things where I don't see this big giant wave of foreclosures. I do think it's harder for a person to be foreclosed on than a lot of people, like a lot of YouTubers say. We've been having this, like the footsteps of the foreclosures a lot. I talked to my buddies like Matt, the mortgage guy and everything too. And they're basically on the same page. They're like, we're going to see some foreclosures, but they're not going to be just all at one in one wave. I would say that there are probably some people who maybe bought in the last like 2 years, high interest rates that might be in trouble. But like I said, I don't think we're going to get that impact like that people say we are, where all of a sudden everything's going to be like dirt cheap. I think if anything pops on the market that's aggressively priced, even with foreclosures, I think they're going to fly. But like I said, I mean, on this channel, I will bring on some people also who might feel a little different about foreclosures. I've just been hearing about foreclosures for the last like 6 years. People have been talking about it. Foreclosures, when rates went up, oh my God, foreclosures are going to happen, mortgage forbearance, all that kind of stuff too. It's just never been something that's been hugely impactful in our market. It's never been something that it's like, oh, we're in trouble now. I just have not seen it that way. And so, like I said, I've been doing this like live broadcast for 6 years, and there have been moments where everyone's talked foreclosures, and it's just more kind of like, I don't want to call it hype. It's just one of those things that it's not as dramatic as people make it out to be, at least for the last 6 years in Sacramento. All right, so here we go, guys. We are doing this. Interest rates are spiking back up over 7%. So for all those people who wanted to jump in at a 6%, I think it's going to go over 7. It's probably going to last there probably for like a week and a half. Then we'll probably be dipping around too. So just so you guys know, now this rate does not reflect what you can get this moment. It all impacts your credit scores and everything too. And I'm not a lender, but I love to talk a little bit about the trend of us getting back over 7%. That isn't good, especially for the market we have right now. So check this out. We got new homes who are on the ropes right now too. Who basically are giving incentives, but at the same time, with rates over 7%, you're probably going to see the best incentive out there, which is KHOP, probably a little over 5%, which in October, when they were giving 3.25s away, 5%, a little over 5%, that's great. You'll be saving what, maybe like $600 a month, but still, that's still a pretty penny to throw down on a house. I would say also with 7%, it's going to really, really put people in a situation where even if they find that house that they absolutely love, they might not be able to afford it. I would say over 7%, it's going to be slower than it is now. You're going to see more inventory hit the market, and it could really put a damper in spring or, summertime and this whole buying season. So I don't know. This is kind of what happened last year with the rates going up and up and up. I think this more than not is just going to be the cherry on top of this already kind of like low demand spring and summer season. Interest rates have really got to do something to make this this year kind of pop again. And like I said, for you guys too, like if you're thinking that, houses are going to drop, I think we are going to see a correction. Do I think you're going to see this dramatic, oh my God, this house is like $100,000 cheaper? If you see that, guys, and it looks like it's too good to be true, or something that's crazy, like pricing, you're going to probably see either a whole bunch of people jump into that house, or you're going to see that there was something wrong with the house. So just understand that we're not there yet. You're not going to see some crazy deals hitting the market anytime soon. And like I said, for me, I've always felt that buyers have been kicked into the teeth for the last few years, and hopefully buyers get a little bit of a break. I do think, though, that with the inventory coming back on the market, the new homes, maybe the surplus building up a little bit, buyers could have a little bit of a break towards the end of this year, maybe even turn into a buyer's market. Hopefully that happens. Rates, though, like I said, if rates start ticking down, as much as that sounds like a good thing, I think it's going to be a good thing for a little bit. But then if rates go down, I think we're going to be back up to the same problems. Demand is going to go up. Prices are going to be going back up. And I think it's going to be short-lived. So that's my 2 cents on that. If you guys agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. All right, so we got some listings on the market. I want to go over with you guys too real quick. Oh, by the way, Friday's home tour that I'm going to do is Shawwood up in Folsom Ranch. Now, I'm going to give you my unbiased comments toward the end of the video. It's going to be just basically how I think this community plays into Folsom, if it's worth it, if it's not worth it, all that kind of fun stuff. The community was pretty amazing, I got to say. If you like mid-century modern, if you like that, honestly, it felt like an Eichler was like someone put steroids in an Eichler. It was just crazy. Atriums in the middle. So tune in for that house tour that I'm going to drop 7 p.m. on Friday. Now, this house right here in Sacramento, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. It is in some of the best shape. This house is amazing. The front yard, the backyard, really cute. So you guys have always told me like I should feature more affordable properties. This is one of our listings. The pricing is spot on, guys. If you're looking for something affordable in Sacramento, this is the house. Honestly, in this price point, I've looked around, I've looked everywhere close to this house. There's nothing on the market right now that is better than this house for this price point. If you are interested in this one, hit Michelle on my team, get a VIP tour going. This thing is great. And if you want to, we can send you over the pictures. Now, next one we got Rancho. This is another one. This is a house that we actually sold school rating. I'm not 100% about the school rating. If you want to, put that in the comments of the video and I will double check. But I would say go to greatschools.org for that too. I can't do it while I'm live, but I will hit you back on that. I'm not really sure. Okay. All right, we got Cambry Drive in Rancho Cordova. This one I know because of Rancho in the Atoll area, Elk Grove Unified Schools, 3 and 3. Really nice, large backyard. If you're looking for great finishes in a house too, this house is great. Definitely check that out. This is a house that we just did a reduction on, like I said. So it's been dropped down to $829. We put another one in contract about a month or two ago. And for the most part, the house went for $860. This is the exact same floor plan, single story. If you guys are looking for something, and you don't want to deal with the new home stuff and you don't want to landscape your backyard, this house is meticulous. The owners took great care of this house. Single story, highest ceilings I've seen in all of the Anatolia Rancho area as well too. This house is pretty amazing. So if you're someone who's looking for a single story house, go take a look at this house. Again, like I'm comparing it to like the Pulte's, the Woodsides, the Tri-Points, the Cahovs. If you're looking for a single story, not one of those builders building right now has a single story that matches up to the ceiling height of this house and the finishes. This house is crazy. And this is a Premier home. And Premier and Crestley Homes were probably like two neck and neck builders in the area for the luxury market. This home is awesome. So definitely check it out if you're looking for a single story in the like Rancho Anatolia area and you don't want to deal with any of the landscaping and you want something in an established community, but you still want that really nice new home vibe, this is a great house to look at. All right, let's get into some questions. Where are we at? Oof. All right, it's been a fun night. Like I said, Sonny, I will find out about the school stuff and I will put that in the comments as well for you guys to take a look at. But for me, I mean, honestly, let's go back to it real quick. Look at that price point, $455, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Can't get that in Sacramento. All right, California's population is exploding. Just because someone changed the name on the water tower to Freeport Boulevard from the City of Trees, Farm to Fork, doesn't make it so. Sacramento isn't close to having the most accessible access to produce of any city, and we don't have the most local or urban farms here either. So why are we the farm to fork capital? Sacramento has more trees per capita than any other city in the world, except for Paris, France. Sacramento is forever the city of trees. You have a little bit of a point there. Farm to fork is just because we have such a big agricultural kind of like industry in Sacramento. A lot of the restaurants here, we do source local and everything too, but I honestly agree with you. As far as the city of trees, I think Sacramento, that is definitely in my opinion, areas like Fair Oaks too. I mean, that moniker is just there. I love the trees in Sacramento. I love going for walks, bike rides. It's pretty much an amazing spot. So I'll go with you. I'll say that. We'll start a petition. City of Trees. I like it. All right. Why is Sacramento the next big thing? 2025. Yeah, right. They've been saying this since 2005. Okay, seriously. One thing I will tell you straight up, that's 20 years of a difference. 20 years, all these new things that have been happening in the Sacramento area. I mean, look at all the stuff that's been happening in Folsom, in West Roseville, in Elk Grove and everything too. You cannot compare the Sacramento area from 2005 to 2025. There's just no way. In fact, we've moved in a lot of people that are OG Sacramentoans, Elk Grovians, and we moved them back in. And the first thing they tell us is that they don't even recognize the city anymore in the area. So honestly, like facelift doesn't even do it justice. 2005 Sacramento metro area is literally like non-existent comparatively like what it is now in 2025. And 2035 with Folsom, with all the new building, with the sports centers, Top Golf, Whitney Ranch Retail Center, it's going to get even bigger. So I don't know. For me, love my Sacramento. And honestly, guys, like we're on such a good growth spurt. I mean, if you look at kind of all the statistics and all the stuff happening in like areas like Phoenix, you know, in areas like Vegas, in areas like Houston, like those markets are hurting. Our market, you know, realistically with everything going on with like all that crazy, you know, the economic climate and everything too, we're still pretty solid. So for me, like I said, I would take Sacramento over any of those markets. I'd feel very, very nervous if I went down to Texas and bought myself a McMansion in Houston or like San Antonio with everything going on. The idea for me has always been like Sacramento is such a solid place because yes, you know, jobs are never like completely bulletproof. But when you look at all the employers that Sacramento's bringing in, all the new hospitals, all the stuff that's happening in Sacramento, it's pretty nuts. Now, I'm not telling you it's 100% roses and butterflies in Sacramento. There are some layoffs, like with Intel and everything too. But at the same time, you got a lot of stuff like Qualcomm. A lot of things are moving into the Sacramento area. I really, really like love our market. I think if anything, it's like, you know, there's a storm brewing right now with the economy. I like the idea of Sacramento being like a nice, strong tree that we have our arms wrapped around. And I think when the smoke is cleared, we're going to be in a good position to grow even bigger than we were before. All right, Clayton, how's it going? Drop the price to 50%. Now I'd buy in El Dorado Hills. I will talk to some of the agents listing up in El Dorado Hills and ask them for that. I think El Dorado Hills is one of those funny places. I mean, I think I was talking to this one agent who actually has a house in El Dorado Hills, and they're like, you know, it's just really, really slow here. And I think one of the things that people are identifying El Dorado Hills with right now, and not really true because it's not as big of a problem, but fire insurance and PG&E. And I think a lot of people are saying to themselves, we love El Dorado Hills, the views and everything too, but they're just feeling that, you know, home insurance is going to be crazy and PG&E bills are going to be nuts. I would say in certain parts of El Dorado Hills, yeah, you're probably right about that. But I would say that before you just cross off El Dorado Hills, look at some of that stuff and see if it does work for you, because I am seeing people, like I said, maybe not getting that for 50% discount, but I think El Dorado Hills is right now a very, very soft market. And I think that if you look really hard in El Dorado Hills, work with a good home insurance person as well too, you might be surprised what you can get in El Dorado Hills right now. I think a lot of people are scared off in El Dorado Hills, and I think that right there is a chance to jump into a market that's soft. All right, Clayton, Wells Fargo is laying off staff in the home mortgage market every week. Wells Fargo sold office building for 10% of its assessed value. Yeah, Wells Fargo is an interesting one too. The Wells Fargo here, I think in Gold River, isn't doing good as well too. I don't know. Wells Fargo, I would say also though, a lot of people in the Sacramento area, majority of the people here go to, like, Sacramento is so crazy. Everyone's like a realtor, everyone's like a mortgage professional and everything too. I would say that normally what you find is that, for me, I think I've worked with Wells Fargo maybe once in the past like 4 years. That includes my entire team. Bank of America maybe twice in the last 3 or 4 years. Majority of people work with mortgage brokers. Doctors work with like KeyBank. You know, everyone's got their little like way of doing stuff. So I'd say, like, you know, for me, I'm not a big fan of, like, you know, the banks because the hours, but I'd say right now, a lot of people are moving into like the broker thing, like mortgage brokers, because they can go between programs and kind of get the rate. But like I said, like, you know, to each his own. All right, not going to happen. If they live in Shingle Springs, we're from the Bay Area, best decision I ever made. Hey, look, here's the thing for me. Hopefully you move to Shingle Springs and you're loving it and you're low interest rate. I think Shingle Springs, love the area. I think Cameron Park, love the area as well too. I think based on everything that's happening in the Folsom Ranch area, those areas are going to be so much more in demand as well too. I love Folsom Ranch, and I think the growth there is crazy, but I think the traffic, how many people have actually exited East Bidwell, or, you know, exited the East Bidwell exit on the 50, and it's been packed. I kid you not, every time I get off on the 50 right now and I'm headed towards Folsom, I am stuck on the off ramp. And I think that that's going to be even a bigger problem as Folsom grows. I think areas like Shingle Springs, Cameron Park, those are going to be really hot commodities in the future as well too. There already are. I mean, the area is beautiful. Like, it's like you're living in Tahoe, but you're not far away from anything. It's still great, but I think it's going to go up and up and up. So I like your choice. All right. I paid $2,400 a year, El Dorado Hills, back in 2020, 2012, 2017. I last owed Calitha, bought for $30,000 less. 2013, bought for $1 million. Prior owner paid 1.5, 2004. Now Zillow says it's worth 1.9. Oof, man. Clayton, I need to have you on my team. I would say this. Here's the thing though, too. I think that if you know this market well enough, you can make moves. I know people who've moved like to Whitney Ranch, they feel like it was topping off and they swung over and moved to Serrano. I see people now who are eyeing East Ridge Village that they're building on top of Blackstone as well too in El Dorado. They're thinking to make the move over there as well too. I think you can make some good moves here in the Sacramento area. You just have to know the area really, really well. All right. Yep. Super packed. Yeah, man. I'm literally like, I wish they would have done a little bit more of the infrastructure work before they built out Folsom Ranch. That is just a cluster right now. At Kemper, while in El Dorado Hills, I think Kemper exited the state in coverage. Here's the thing. I will tell you this. Granger is supposedly a really good one. Javier always says that Granger is one of the ones he likes to go to all the time. I also heard, and someone probably listening to the show as well too, he said he went through a company in Beverly Hills to get him an amazing deal in El Dorado Hills. So I think there's ways to still get home insurance done relatively good. But you know, like I said, Clayton, if you ever want to jump in also, hey, and you want to talk home insurance, I think that's not bad. All right. 1.5 now Zillow's and okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's get going on more questions. Boom. All right. Sacramento Exposed. Let them believe what they want. They need to keep their cities and economy intact and prevent people from moving here. I'd say let them stay where they're at. We got enough people here. Population jumped in the last 16 years, became too darn crowded. I love it here. Moved here from SF 20 years ago. We still have more to do in Sacramento than Bay. Shopping is great here everywhere I need for boat stuff, firearms, sporting goods, RV parts, every darn toy you can think of. We have it here. Tons of restaurants, supermarkets, and Costco's. Yeah, here's the thing for me, guys. Hopefully, like these videos I put out about Sacramento, you know, honestly, if you don't believe Sacramento is this amazing, I mean, hopefully you find that spot you like, you know, you want to live in, right? I'm telling you this as a person who lived in the Bay Area, moved to Sacramento, and wishes that I would have moved here a lot sooner. Now, I can honestly tell you this, like I was, you know, pretty ignorant for not coming out here and checking a look at Sacramento for myself. And I regret that, right? For me, I'm an enthusiast, and I can tell you one thing: Sacramento is a pretty amazing spot to live. And you know, if you don't think it is, and you know, you want to go to like Texas or Florida or like Arizona, I say go for it. You know, I mean, I think that's great. I mean, if those are your spots. And I kind of agree here, you know, like we are getting like this, it is getting impacted. And I think right now it should be for people who actually take the motivation, come out to Sacramento and figure it out. And like I said, on the videos that I do, when I'm talking about how amazing Sacramento is, how amazing of a place it is, it's basically because I do believe all that stuff. I am very enthusiastic about Sacramento, and I think it's a fantastic spot. Now, if people watch these videos and say, yeah, you know, this guy just wants us to move here. Honestly, I want you to move wherever you want to move. Good luck. All I'm telling you is I struck gold in Sacramento, and a lot of people did too. And if you're not willing to come out here and explore for yourself, then that's on you. All right. Boom. California Fair Plan. I got to learn how to speak again. Okay. California Fair Plan is a joke. They won't even answer their phone. It would be bad to have a claim and try to call the company. If no insurance, then no mortgage. Honestly, like California Fair Plan is horrific. And they only, what's it called? Up to 1.5. Yeah, they're just, it's amazing that our insurance situation has gotten to this in California. Unbelievable. And like I said, I was talking to Javier. Javier is a good friend of mine who does home insurance. And he's like, it's going to get better. And I'm like, it is? He's like, well, it has to. I mean, it's so bad right now. So hopefully in the future it does. All right. Hopefully Taiwan Semiconductor buys Intel. That'd be pretty bad if that entire Folsom Intel campus was closed. I think like what I've heard about this, and I heard a lot of people tell me this, the fact that Qualcomm was doing a hiring in December 12th, and I think a lot of other tech companies are doing hiring in that area. So I think what you're going to notice is that Intel is probably going to keep it, but they're going to rent it to some other companies. But I'm with you. I think Intel has been a staple of the Sacramento area and Folsom area for a long, long time. And I, you know, also, you know, back in the good old battle of tech days, you know, I was in a reorg and it stunk and I didn't like it. And it was horrific. So for anyone who lost a job during the whole like Intel layoffs, I feel bad. I mean, like I know someone who was actually in the situation where he flew the jets for Intel and he was put on, you know, sabbatical or laid off. So yeah, you know, it's not fun for anyone. And hopefully Intel does something with it. You know, like they've been a staple and they give back a lot of money also to charities, organizations. They really do give back to the Sacramento area, and it would definitely be a shame. One thing I will note though, and this isn't a good or bad or indifferent, I will tell you one thing though, it's crazy though. I mean, yeah, the economic, you know, sentiment isn't great right now too, but the funniest thing is that, not funniest thing, the thing, I guess you can say, is that 10 years ago, if Intel was bleeding the way it's bleeding right now too, Folsom would be really, really, really in bad shape. But Folsom is a strong city, very, very diverse in its jobs. And yes, Intel is going to be a great loss if they go, but it's amazing that the new homes are still selling. People are still loving Folsom. And Folsom kind of like, I think, crutched onto Intel, and now it's its own thing. I mean, Folsom is just growing and growing and growing. Are there overpriced houses in Folsom currently? Absolutely. But if a house is priced nicely in Folsom, will it fly? Absolutely. Folsom is still one of the hottest markets in the Sacramento area. All right, game changer. This guy's not from the area. Way off. Laugh out loud. The zoo is not even going to Elk Grove. Yeah, we just found that out 2 weeks ago. Give me a break. There are no plans for freeway extensions. New homes are horrible quality and basically built like condos. No space in between. Check out the new homes in Delta Shores of Elk Grove. Very bad. Look, here's the thing. I've never said the new homes have amazing, like, they're spread out like crazy. Yes, honestly, Elk Grove for the most part, the 757, it's dense there. The homes are very like tract homes. Yes, but here's the thing about Elk Grove. You're missing out on the 624 where you got like Sheldon, $1 million estates. You have like nice houses that have a lot of land. And then we haven't even talked about Laguna. Laguna with the man-made lakes, really, really cute as well too. So you can't really label Elk Grove as just a 757. Is it the most competitive of the zip codes? Absolutely. Elk Grove has got a whole bunch of different things going on with it. So do I think Elk Grove is hot? Yeah. I think Elk Grove, there's maybe been like a month or two in the last 3 or 4 years where I've seen Elk Grove be a little soft, but for the most part, I think Elk Grove is a steamroller. I think it's going. And I think for a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people who like said, hey, I bought my house for 350 and now I'm selling it for 700. This is amazing. So I think Elk Grove is growing. Do I think that they, screw up a lot over there? Yeah, 100%. I think the idea that that medical, the medical center that's in Natomas, Elk Grove was supposed to have that and they blew it. And so it moved to Natomas. The zoo, another huge fumble by Elk Grove as well too. So I think like the city, Elk Grove needs a little bit to kind of, they need to figure it out. But for the most part, like Elk Grove, even with those things happening, like the zoo not happening, like the medical school not being built there as well too, like Elk Grove is still a powerhouse. The schools, location of the Bay Area, the new train station, Elk Grove is what it is. And like I say, if you don't believe me, go to Zillow. And if you see a house that pops on the market in Elk Grove, chances are, unless it's like $100,000 over like what it should be selling for, it will fly. Elk Grove is that competitive. All right. Folsom has beautiful shopping center. Did you check out Sutter Creek Steakhouse yet? No, but I'm going to. And the hardest part for me though is I cook a mean steak at home. Honestly, I have a broiler, 1500 degrees, cook that thing up. But I will promise you this, within the next couple of months, I will go out there and take a look at the steak. This I promise. Yep. Clinton. Yeah. Train station's already being built. They had plans for it and everything too. Now, the interesting one is there should be, and this is about a 50-50. So, like supposedly, and with Elk Grove, you never know, but this is Natomas. They're supposed to also extend the train station to the airport. So that is part of their like plans that they hopefully will implement in the next year or two. But yeah, the one Elk Grove is already being built. It's in Laguna, already going. So I'll let you know exactly when that first train leaves the station, but that's not bad. And like I said, Elk Grove is one of those spots, that it's just always been competitive. So love it or hate it, that's what it is. All right. Do you think Sacramento is one of the most underrated cities in California? Not quite yet. I think when the rail yards, absolutely. And I was talking to a few people about the rail yards as well too. We're going to do an update on the projects as well for you guys. Oh, and if you guys are enjoying the broadcast, please smash that like button. It would mean a whole lot to me and the YouTube algorithm. All right. And apologies for a little bit of the talking. It's just, I got a million lights in here and it is hot here in Sacramento. So I apologize for that. And I wore a big, thick shirt. So, okay. Not quite yet. I think the rail yards are full. When the rail yards are fully developed, yes. The soccer stadium is completed and the new hospital is built, then we'll really be rocking. We seriously need the zoo to be moved to Natomas. It was second in the running. But honestly, if all of a sudden Natomas grabs the zoo, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they grabbed the medical hospital, so I'm guessing that or the medical school. So I'm guessing, they're probably bidding out the zoo too. As much as people wanted to stay in Land Park, I just don't see it staying in Land Park. So could Natomas be the new home? You never know. You never know here in Sacramento, guys. Sacramento is always one of those areas. All right. Do you think Sacramento is one of the most underrated cities in California? Lived there for 3 years. It's a disgrace as the state's capital. I'd say that could be a little bit much. I don't know. Here's the thing for me. I think Sacramento, for me, is one of those areas that's growing, that's developing. I don't see another spot in all of California that I'd want to be our state capital. I think that, one of the things that we love are the state jobs. I think it's helped our economy. And I think Sacramento is an amazing spot. I think that Sacramento sometimes gets like generalized by certain areas or certain things. But I think Sacramento is so diverse in the things you can do, the people, the food. Sacramento has got a whole lot of stuff that a lot of people I think might take for granted. We have all these water spots like, Folsom Lake, Lake Natoma, aquatic center, Folsom, what's called American River, Sacramento River. You can go rafting, boating, fishing. You can go biking, mountain biking, kayaking. You can do all that stuff too. You can grab there's a beer boat that takes you on the river. There's also just like tons of things to do close by, like Amador. For me, I think, like I said, I think maybe you moved here or you lived here maybe like in 2005. But right now, I'm seeing Sacramento is like, honestly, we're on the cusp of something just super amazing here in Sacramento. I mean, areas like Folsom have already been kind of labeled destination cities. Elk Grove is growing like crazy. You got all this stuff happening in West Roseville, West Sacramento. So for me, you know, even during this crazy economic climate, Sacramento is still doing pretty good. So for me, that says a whole lot. All right, California's population is exploding. This is informative and a great to do a video on North Natomas. Guys, with all the talk about North Natomas, I have great video footage of it. So next week, I will do a video on North Natomas. I'll bring in all the drone footage my guy did for North Natomas, and we'll go over Natomas and see how it actually is shaping up. We'll talk about all the new home builders because there are some new home builders popping up in Natomas as well too, just for you guys. What did you pay for gas at Costco or Chevron today? I don't know what today was. I think somewhere in the 4s for Costco. I'm not 100% sure. Costco still is the cheapest gas though. Although Arco, there are a few Arcos that kind of go neck and neck with it. But for me, I think Costco, I'm not sure what Costco is today. Does anyone know? If you guys know what Costco, if anyone filled their tank up with Costco gas today, let me know the price. As far as Chevron, I would never go to Chevron. Oh my God, the prices are nuts. Unless you got a Chevron credit card and you're looking for those miles or whatever they do. A person I know has a Chevron credit card and he swears by it. All right. Is the weather in Sacramento a deal breaker during the summertime? Phoenix Summer has entered the chat. Agreed. I think in Sacramento, here's the thing. Tornadoes, no. Hurricanes, no. Earthquakes, I don't really feel them. For me, I mean, we get heat, a little bit of fire. I mean, for me, honestly, like, I think we complain a lot about Sacramento, or I do maybe. I think Sacramento is a pretty amazing spot to live. I think sometimes I'll complain about traffic and then I go to the Bay Area and I really see what traffic is all about. Like, yeah, Folsom off ramp. Yeah, it is trafficy, but compared like what, the 101 at 5 o'clock in the Bay Area? No, thank you. All right. All right. Clinton to the rescue. $4.79 at Sam's Club in Citrus Heights yesterday. In the Midwest, I paid $2.70. Oof, $2.70. Man, that's crazy. I didn't know it was that much of a disparity in gas. All right. Inside a $1.549 million house, exclusive neighborhood with the beat up roads. Like, that's crazy. Beautiful home though. This home, put it on the market and we got it. It's currently in contract, 1.6, all cash offer. Fantastic. Michelle's been doing a fantastic job on this house. Wilhagen, not a lot of houses popping up. We actually have another one coming up in Wilhagen as well too. If you guys are interested, let me know. Hopefully Zillow doesn't find out. All right. Would you consider moving to Sacramento for a job opportunity? Yes, I was about to, but for the same job, I get paid $50 less in Sacramento compared to what I earn here in the Bay Area. So I stayed in the Bay Area. I get it. Here's the thing. I think you have to do the right move for the jobs, but I will say this. I've lived in the Bay Area and the rents are just brutal. So I get it. I think, you got to find the right job and have it make sense. It has to pencil. If it pencils, I think it's worth it. Like I say, time your life and figure it out. But for me, like I said, I came in from the Bay Area, love Sacramento, wouldn't change it for a thing. I think Sacramento is the best bang for your buck in all of California, but you're definitely right. You got to find that job that makes it make sense. All right. Sacramento's best neighborhoods with no Mellorees and no HOAs. Another video I did. If you guys are looking for no Mellorees and no HOAs, these are amazing neighborhoods. Elmhurst, Hood, checking in here. Elmhurst is a video Michelle and I are going to do a video about. She lives in East Sacramento. She knows all those areas, Elmhurst and everything too. So we're going to jump in. We're just north of UC Davis Medical Center. Elmhurst, cute neighborhood, very pricey. And just south of the 50, sweet little barrio, joggers, dog walkers, senior families, and good evening walks. Tree-lined streets, well-kept, modest homes, almost Norman Rockwell. Love, love, love that area. I also like South Land Park as well too. Big don't UCDMC. California Tower, Aggie Square. The residents are up around 45th and we're getting slammed for the development there. Yes, I know. And it's going to continue because the more development's happening at Aggie Square. They're going to actually build part 2 of that like mirrored building as well too. Heavy parking issue as hospitals clog the streets, big pedestrian traffic, med evac helicopters off and on. But when it's quiet, it's heavenly. Love this area. And I think like Michelle and I have been talking about running a video on Elmhurst. Great area. I think areas in the downtown area to kind of keep an eye out for: Curtis Park, I like Tahoe Park, Elmhurst. There's some amazing spots downtown too. So we're going to cover some of the stuff where if you are someone who maybe is working UC Davis Medical Center, we're going to talk about like some of the top areas in that neck of the woods as well too. Hopefully that video happens in the next couple of weeks. Melrose and Galia Promontory, EDH. I know, but getting in there, what do you need? Like $2 million to get in there? That is probably the most pricey community. I think it is the most pricey community in all the Sacramento Metro. Beautiful views for days. All right, next one. Do you really think do you think Sacramento is one of the most underrated cities in California? You really get a slice of everything. When you go to the Geberts area near Tahoe, right alongside of the mountains, it's just like Colorado. I know it's not Sacramento per se, but it's part of the Sac lifestyle, IMO. If you think, if you ever check out Colorado Springs and near Red Rock, similar to Sierra Nevada National Forest Drive. I was on the fence of either moving to Colorado, Florida, or staying in California back in 2016, 2018, but I stayed because I felt I was getting a slice of everything, especially after graduating UC Berkeley. Naturally, it made sense for me to stay, but maybe it was just the realtor convincing me. I wasn't around then. So still, I can't see myself leaving. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with legal issues yet as a landlord that I can just deal with as prior of evolving badly. Landlord that I can't just deal with prior to evolving badly. Okay, here's the thing. I'd say like Colorado, beautiful spot. I think you dodged the bullet with Florida. I think the thing with California, I think Sacramento, I think not only is this a place that during the COVID times, you saw a bump in like property prices. I think we're really, really on just like the cusp of something even bigger and better in the Sacramento area. I mean, like I said, I always go on about Sacramento, but I will say this: Napa, hour 30 minutes away. Tahoe, the same thing. Bay Area, 2 hours, anywhere you want to go if you want to leave the Sacramento area. We also got areas like Apple Hill. We got areas like, the water sports you can do and everything too. Sacramento is on this crazy growth spurt. I think by 2030, 2035, we're going to hit maybe our teenage years. And I still think we got a lot of room to grow. That for me is one of the main reasons I'm here, is because I love the growth, the development. We have a lot of land. And if Sacramento in general plays their cards right, we could develop some amazing stuff. But one of the things that we need to worry about too is we need to make sure we don't build so much where we trash all the nature that people moved here for the first place. So hopefully we don't. Hopefully we chill a little bit on all the new home building and we build more things like parks, areas that we can explore, mountain bikes, all that kind of stuff too. So, okay. Soapbox, I'm down. All right, Clinton. Sacramento is the best option in California. You get closeness to the big perks. While getting a sleeper grade town on its own. I mean, where else can you wake up to ski and then drive a few hours to the ocean? I'm with you, Clinton. You know what I mean? And maybe we'll go snowboarding together. I agree with you. And I think like the thing for me is I don't have that itch, right? Maybe if I won the lottery, I'd be going to another spot. But the thing with Sacramento is I feel very blessed to be here. I feel very lucky that I'm here, that I discovered Sacramento. Like I say, and I say this all the time, I love the people. I love the community. Like I lived in Marin County and I felt that honestly, the Bay Area turned into a very much like, the keeping up with the Joneses. Some people didn't even know each other. You could live next to a person you don't even know who they are. And I didn't grow up that way. I grew up with like people riding bikes in the streets, families knowing each other, shutting down streets for block parties. This is what Sacramento for me is really, really about, right? Like my daughter, for example, she does a swim team. My wife is on the social chair. We're going to be there watching her swim. We got a nice group of parents. Like that's what I want for my children. I love that community vibe. Schools, like I say, I mean, we got new schools in like Folsom, Roseville, wherever you cut it. So for me, Sacramento is it. And I love this spot. All right. In the middle of 1990s, I think there was a rock slide near Cupertz. The river got dammed up and eventually flooded some high elevation homes along the river near. Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Not cool for the flooding, but I love when people throw out facts like that. All right, California's population is exploding as Sacramento tops the list of where everybody's moving to. Economy is in bad shape. Intel laid off 25,000 in Folsom. State budget is in trouble. Lots of layoffs now. I would say right now, yeah. I mean, the deficit, everyone's hearing the news about California, everything too. It isn't the best economic climate. And this is why a lot of people are kind of clinging to their homes and not really thinking about making the jump into a new home. Like I said, time your life, don't time the market. I will say this though, too. If you look at California, there's a lot of places that are really in bad shape. A lot of people are fleeing the Bay Area. I'd say other states like Florida, like Texas, if you look at those areas and you look at those markets, they're not doing great at all. Sacramento's market, for what type of economy we're in right now, we're still holding steady. And I think, like I said, when the smoke clears and we get back to business as usual, I think we're going to grow even bigger. Better. Maybe not bigger, because no one really wants us to get that big, but better. I like that. All right. Is the weather in Sacramento a deal breaker? Yes. 31% no. For me, honestly, if it was a deal breaker, I wouldn't be here. You can get yourself a house with a pool. I don't know. You probably find yourself a house with a pool under $600,000 here and enjoy summers in that pool till 10 o'clock in the evening. That ain't bad. All right. Is local food scene in Sacramento better than you expected? Yes. One of the things too, I know farm to fork, debatable, but I will tell you this. You can find any type of food here in Sacramento. Barbecue, poke. You can find so many good restaurants here in Sacramento. You're not going to miss the Bay Area. Yeah, now and again, you might be craving Boulevard or my favorite Cha-Cha-Cha and the Hate. But at the same time, you can find things here in Sacramento like Tapas of the World. Great spots. So I'd say for me, Sacramento's food scene doesn't really leave me wanting. Great pizza places as well, too. Steak places that I need to try as well. So I love the Sacramento food scene. I think it's getting better and better and better. All right. Sacramento feels like a bubble that doesn't follow the US trends. And yeah, it does though. Clinton, you're totally right. It's funny because you hear these like national real estate, like, oh, housing in trouble, crash is happening. You see that one guy, that one guy who's always doing these like downer videos. He never really talks about Sacramento that much, or it's always like a question what's going to happen to Sacramento. And if you've noticed about Sacramento in general, we don't really make a lot of these bad lists. Sacramento is kind of a little bit of an enigma. Like our market if you fly to Houston, you're probably going to see some crazy things happening in that market. Phoenix, Vegas. But considering everything that's happening right now, we're still pretty good. So yeah, I agree with you. We are in a weird kind of bubble where it's almost like what's happening to the rest of the nation isn't really happening to Sacramento, and especially not the level that's happening outside of Sacramento. So yeah, I'm with you. Tank house for barbecue. There are more spots I need to make a list. Maybe I'll start doing a food vlog. Oof. All right. When it's getting hot in Sacramento, the open house traffic goes down unless interest rates are 2 to 3%, and they're a buyer frenzy. Great food choices here in Sacramento. Yeah, Sacramento, guys. Food choices are amazing. And I'll agree with you too. I think the crazy part about open houses is and here's a big key to people trying to sell their homes, right? One is you got to turn on the AC because people do not like going to an open house where the AC isn't cranked. Number two is if your house is for sale and you have a lockbox on it and you're doing showings, make sure it doesn't feel like that stuffy house that no one's opened a door or window to. Make sure it feels good, smells fresh. The AC's going, lights are on. There's nothing like a first impression when someone comes into a house. But yeah, Clayton, overall, I will say this. A lot of people aren't liking going up to look at open houses. Now, I will tell you one thing, though. When you bring in people from the Bay Area or people from the Bay Area that come up to Sacramento and they drove up maybe about a couple hours to get here, there's probably going to be traffic on the 50. They're definitely going to brave the open houses. But yeah, open house traffic definitely will drop for majority of the houses, unless, of course, there's a pool and there's AC pumping. All right. Oh, guys, if you guys are enjoying the broadcast, smash that like button. Do the whole can for me. I'd appreciate it. All right. Boom. Would you consider moving to Sacramento for a job opportunity? Yes. Guys, I'm telling you, like, this isn't a guarantee. It's not a sure thing, but I would definitely check on the state of California's website. A lot of people assume that if you work for the state, they're going to be paying peanuts. Honestly, You can retire early. You got great, like, great services as far as like healthcare and everything too. Good retirement plans. I have a bunch of friends that are retiring like at 58 because they've been working for the state so long. And, you got jobs that pay you in the 6 digits too, as well too. So I definitely check that out. Not a guarantee, but it's an additional resource if you're thinking about making the move to Sacramento. Boom. Do you think Sacramento is one of the most underrated cities in California? 68%. I am with you. And honestly, I think as every year passes by, this poll is only going to go from 68 to 75 to 90%. Because honestly, Sacramento is just getting better and better and better. All right. And that's it. Guys, we are done for the night. Oh, Clayton, new construction costs are too high for housing to drop in such a desirable area. Yeah. And here's the thing with new construction homes as well too. New construction is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be such an interesting beast here in Sacramento, because with the tariffs, we're going to see prices. they're just going to have to increase, right? But the demand isn't there to match it. So I don't know what new homes are going to deal with right now too, because like all the stuff they're bringing in, like sinks, like paint, like wood, it's going to increase the price for these new homes. But the new homes also are not in great shape with demand as it is right now in this market. So I think something's got to give with the new homes. If it was me, keep in touch with the new home market if that's where you want to go. And honestly, like if interest rates stay where they are, I don't know, something's got to give in the new home industry. Like if interest rates start dropping a little bit and all of a sudden prices start increasing, new homes could go up and up and up. I don't know. I don't really know the solution for new homes at this point. I think that right now new homes are hurting. I think I've seen a lot of communities, like for example, that Shawwood one that might've priced a little too high. But at the same time, I'm looking at it and saying to myself, like, unless they created this massive surplus of materials that they're storing somewhere in the US, like they're going to be hit by tariffs. And there's only one way that the new home prices can go, and that's up. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you guys have enjoyed this broadcast too, smash the like button. I'm out of here. Like I said, guys, this weekend's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be a warm weekend. I don't see rates dropping underneath 7. I see rates kind of going up a little bit over 7. If you guys are looking to jump in, or if you're looking for any questions, hit the Zoom link below that I always leave after these lives. And that's it. I'm done. Smash that like button. Until next video, Friday at 7 p.m. Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the show. This is a show we do every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. just for you. So is the California housing market slowing down? Is the Sacramento real estate market slowing down? Let me know in the comments below what you think, what your thoughts are. I'm sure everyone tuning into the show would really appreciate it. Now, guys, if you are thinking about making the move to the Sacramento area, there's a Zoom link below. Hit that Zoom link and feel free to ask us any questions you might have. We can set up a great tour for you, and we can answer any questions you have about the Sacramento real estate market, areas like Rockland, El Dorado Hills, West Sacramento. We cover it all. Also, as mentioned in the video, if you're looking to buy a brand new home in the Sacramento area, the builder pays our fee and not one penny comes out of your pocket, and that's the way it should be. Now, guys, if you are someone living in the Sacramento area and you want to sell your home, don't settle for the post in the ground, cross your finger realtors. Not in this market. Work with a team that works with YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We cover all the bases so your property can get more eyeballs than any other listing out there. And honestly, it's worked, and we can show you the marketing analytics behind it. Now, one last thing before I go, there's a playlist right over there of other live broadcasts that I've actually done in the past. Knowledge, education is power. Make sure you load up on those videos. They'll give you everything you need to know about the Sacramento market. And again, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one. Smash that like button. Until the next video, see ya.